There are moments in life when everything seems perfectly under control, until suddenly, in one unexpected second, the entire world collapses beneath you. For Elena Hart, a woman known across the city as the sharpest, strongest, most unstoppable CEO of her company, that moment came without warning on a cold Monday morning. Her heels clicked confidently down the marble hallway, her phone buzzed with meetings and deadlines, and her mind, as always, raced ahead of everyone else. But halfway through the corridor, just a few feet before the elevator, her knee buckled violently. A wave of white-hot pain shot upward like a lightning strike. She tried to straighten up, tried to breathe through the aching pressure climbing her spine, but her body gave out completely. Within seconds, she was on the floor, her palms hitting the cold tiles, panic rising in her chest as she realized she couldn't move her legs. The hallway seemed to tilt, the walls closing in, and her own voice cracked in a way she had never shown anyone before as she whispered, then cried, I can't walk. If you believe in kindness, second chances, or the power of good people changing lives, then please take a second to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel, Kindness Thread. Your support helps us spread more stories that heal hearts. Elena had always been the kind of woman others envied, polished, unshakable, armored with confidence. But in that moment, none of her strength mattered. Her vision blurred as her breath turned shallow, her body frozen in a terrifying mix of pain and helplessness. Footsteps echoed from the far end of the hallway, quick and heavy, and she tried to lift her head to see who was approaching, but even that movement felt impossible. A moment later, a pair of warm, steady hands gently gripped her arms. A deep voice, shaken but calm, murmured something she couldn't quite catch, and then she found herself leaning against the shoulder of a man she barely recognized, a man with tired eyes, a worn uniform, and a kindness that reached her before his words did. His name was Daniel, known simply as the maintenance guy to most employees, but Elena had never once looked deeply enough to notice anything else about him. He was the kind of person who blended into the background, pushing cleaning carts, fixing broken lights, and working late hours long after everyone else went home. Most people passed him without a second glance. But now, his presence felt like the only anchor she had left. Daniel helped her sit up slowly, supporting her weight with surprising strength and care. She could feel him trembling faintly, not from fear, but from empathy, as if her pain somehow mirrored something in him. As the paramedics were called, Daniel stayed by her side, steadying her, breathing with her, urging her not to panic. She wanted to protest, to gather herself, to pretend she didn't need help, but the truth pressed down on her, she had no control at all. In the ambulance, as the sirens wailed and the city blurred past the windows, Daniel sat silently beside her, his expression thoughtful, almost haunted. Elena wondered why he was there, why he cared so much, why his eyes carried a weight that made her chest tighten for reasons unrelated to the pain in her legs. At the hospital, the news struck her harder than the fall did. A compressed nerve, a possible spinal complication, and the looming threat of not walking again without surgery and weeks, maybe months, of recovery. For someone who lived her entire life on deadlines, speed, and control, the idea of slowing down felt like a punishment she wasn't built to handle. Her company needed her, her investors expected her, and worst of all, she had spent years building a reputation as the woman who never once showed weakness. She didn't know how to be vulnerable. She didn't know how to be anything other than perfect. And now, she couldn't even stand. Daniel visited her the next day, not because anyone asked him to, but because something in his conscience refused to stay away. He walked in cautiously, holding a small paper bag of ginger tea and warm soup. She stared at him in disbelief. No one had ever brought her something so simple. She always received gourmet baskets, expensive flowers, or corporate gifts, nothing as human as this. In that moment, she saw him differently. His tired eyes weren't just tired, they were the eyes of someone who had seen real struggle. Over the next few days, he visited her regularly. Sometimes he talked softly about small things, the weather, a song he heard on the radio, the funny things employees said while he fixed things around the office. Other times he just sat quietly, offering the comfort of presence she never knew she needed. Slowly, she felt pieces of her emotional armor slipping away, as if her fall had broken not just her physical strength, but the walls she'd spent years building. One afternoon, when Elena's frustration hit its peak after a painful physical therapy session, Daniel finally shared the secret he had been carrying in his silence. He told her about his daughter, Lily, a bright, sweet little girl who had been born with a rare condition affecting her mobility. For years, Daniel watched her struggle to walk, fall, get back up, fall again, and somehow still smile through it all. He worked double shifts not for himself, but to pay for her treatments. He learned all the exercises, the therapies, the ways to encourage someone who feels their body has betrayed them. He learned patience, more than life had ever taught him before. And he learned strength, the kind that doesn't show in muscles, but in spirit. As he spoke, Elena felt a lump rise in her throat. She had always thought strength meant independence, dominance, and perfection. But Daniel showed her a different kind of strength, quiet, consistent, selfless. He told her gently that the fear gripping her was normal. That she could get better. That she wasn't alone. And that healing takes courage, not speed. His words changed everything. It wasn't a miracle cure or a dramatic revelation, it was simply the right truth at the moment she needed it most. From that day on, Elena pushed herself differently. Not with desperation, but with determination. She began physical therapy with a humility she'd never experienced. She allowed herself to cry when it hurt. She allowed herself to lean on others when she felt weak. And more importantly, she allowed herself to believe that vulnerability was not failure. Daniel and his daughter visited her often. Little Lily, with her braces and her brave smile, became the spark Elena didn't know her soul needed. Watching that small girl fight through her own pain reminded Elena that strength wasn't about standing tall, it was about trying again, no matter how many times you fall. Weeks later, when Elena finally took her first steps again, slow, shaky, but real, Daniel and Lily were right there, cheering quietly but with more pride than Elena had ever witnessed from anyone in her corporate world. Her company celebrated her return, impressed by her courage, unaware of the single dad and his little girl who had quietly rebuilt her spirit from the inside out. If this story touched your heart even a little, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Thread. Your engagement truly helps us keep creating stories that inspire hope and humanity. Before you go, comment below, kindness changes everything. And remember, sometimes the people we overlook are the very ones who save us when we fall.